We've got some great news.
Great new rates on new.
And used car loans.
New car loans as low as 1.99%. Used car loans as low as 2.49%.
I save money.
And that's not all. We refinance trucks and RVs.
Refinance your car and save.
Refinance at Columbia Green Federal Credit Union.
And save on your payments.
You will save.
Save now.
And save money. The Coxsackie and Hudson Lending Centers.
All right, welcome to Hudson Valley 360's The Press Box, presented by Columbia Green Federal Credit Union. We're getting into a little bit of basketball season. We have Hudson coach Sean Briscoe with us today.
Thanks for having me on.
Great to have you here, Coach. Let's see, where shall we begin? What haven't you done this early in your career yet? You have taken the Hudson High boys basketball team further than anybody has ever. I mean, you've taken them to the state Final Four. You've won the Section 2 Class B Boys Basketball Championship, the first one Hudson has won in 40 years. You've won 2 straight Patroon Conference Boys Basketball Championships. You've led the team to 34 straight wins within the conference. I mean, what do you attribute the success to? And you're barely in your 30s. I mean, come on.
I can't take all the credit. We've had a great group of guys the last couple of years, and the guys have put in the work, and they deserved everything that they got. So I definitely can't take all the credit for that. I got to give some credit to obviously my assistant coach Tyrone.
Sure.
He's integral in what we do. And
this is Tyrone Hedgepath.
Yeah, it's Tyrone Hedgepath. And so we're he's integral in what we've been able to accomplish the last couple of years, and obviously the type of kids we've had over the last couple of years. We've had some really good athletes, kids that like to put time in the gym.
Sure.
And it's been a great ride the last few years. We've been able to put Hudson back on the map where we want to keep them, hopefully, especially moving into this season with some new faces and some old faces. And it's been fun, and I hope to continue that.
Now, you've lost some key components from these last couple of years. Great teams. Of course, Michael Lurt, who was the Patroon Conference boys basketball MVP last year, Hamma, Kamedrick Murphy, Tyler Delavecchia, and also a very important player from last year, Ellis Richardson. Those kids are all gone. Don't want to focus too much on what you lost, but what you have coming back this year. Talk to me about some of the kids that are back this year that you're looking forward to working with.
Yeah, like you said, we lost a lot from last year, and even some of those guys were part of the run the previous year. We only have one player left from actually the state Final Four run, and Willie Walker, who was a member of the team for the whole year. So that's something that we've talked to the guys about, and trying to lean on him to some of his expertise. He's been a member. This is his 3rd year on the varsity now, so he has some vital experience and leadership qualities that we're hoping we can get out of him to kind of help the guys and make them understand what it takes to try to get to that level, not just to be good but to be great.
Sure.
So he's going to be big in the fact that he's been around the last 2 years, the only kid that's been around the last 2 years for us, and understands what it takes to be that successful. Obviously we got Matt Sweet and Jeremy Ramirez back,
right.
Who were part of the team last year, came up as 10th graders for the sectional run. So they were there to witness, some of that magic and what it takes. So they're gonna be big. Nitrell Franklin's back this year, another returner. So we've only got a few guys coming back even from last year.
But all pretty good experience.
All pretty decent experience. They were all able to get some minutes on the floor last year. Some more minutes than others. But we're definitely looking forward to some of those guys stepping up this year into some more leadership roles. Sure. And then we got some young guys coming up, from the JVs.
My next question.
Yeah. We got the young guys coming up from JV, Willie Jones.
Right. Just a 9th grader.
And just a 9th grader.
Willie's been talked about quite a bit around the Hudson area.
Right.
People know about Willie already from just what he's done at the younger levels and on the JV level last year. A lot expected of Willie.
Yeah, there's a lot of expectations of him.
Sure.
Whether that be fair or not, as a 9th grader, like you said, he has huge expectations just from what he's been able to accomplish, modified JV, and we brought him up last year for sectionals, and he actually got into the game and gave us some pretty good minutes in our first 2 games in sectionals last year.
For people that might not be aware of who Willie Jones is to this point, as we mentioned, he's only a freshman. Tell me about some of his qualities. What makes him such a talked about athlete at this young stage of his career?
At this point, at this young of a stage, he has a very good understanding of the game. High IQ guy. He understands what defenses are trying to do. He sees the open guy, and he just has speed and size, which is a nice thing to have, especially in the Patroon Conference.
No question.
So with his size, his athleticism, his speed, his ability to shoot the basketball, he kind of possesses pretty much everything you're looking for out of a well-rounded basketball player. Not only that, he's a really good kid, very coachable. He wants to learn the game, continue to grow. So it's not that he thinks he knows everything about the game already. Even though he's talked about as highly as he is, he still wants to learn the game, get better at it. So we're looking for big things from him. But at the same time, we also understand, he's only a freshman. Right. And this is his first full year on varsity, different speed than JV.
Sure.
We're looking for big things out of him. We brought up a couple other underclassmen in Levon Fernandez and Daquan Griffin, who both played on the JV team last year, both sophomores. Daquan gives us some size that we're lacking this year. We lost 6'8" out of the middle.
Right.
So he gives us a post presence that we're going to need. Levon comes up, he can score the basketball. Lefty, so that gives him a little bit of quirkiness to his game at times. We're looking for things out of those guys that are coming up from the JVs. Plus, we got a couple guys this year that didn't play last year. In Zach Wilburn, who everyone I'm sure saw his highlights on the football field, so they know what type of.
I remember playing basketball a few years ago on the JV team. Played really well.
Yeah, so he's just a great athlete, great kid. So he's gonna be able to help us a little bit at the point guard position too, behind Willie Walker. We definitely possess some athletes. We might not have the size, but we're gonna have some speed this year.
No question about it. Now, you've had the bullseye on your back these last few years with all the success that you've had, in postseason and, of course, during the regular season. But this year, maybe not so much because of all of the graduation losses. And there are other teams to look at this year maybe that are considered the favorites. But I'm sure you're not too disappointed in the fact that you don't have that bullseye on your back anymore.
Right. I mean, it's, at times it's nice to know that you have a target on your back because that means you're good. Teams who don't have a target on the back generally aren't in the upper echelon of their conference section, whatever the case may be. So in that regard, it's nice to know that teams want to beat you and be able to say, "Oh, we beat Hudson." But at the same time, with some of the younger guys that we have this year, it's nice to maybe not be as talked about as much as we have been the last couple of years. Like you said, with other teams, up and coming, Catskills got just about everybody back that they had last year, plus adding an addition of Will Bartholomew, who was hurt last year.
Right.
They're going to be a tough team. They beat us over the summer, beat us in the fall. So, right now, we're kind of on the outside looking in, and looking to Catskill as we got to figure out a way to be able to beat them.
I'm sure Catskill coach Doug Lampman sitting at home right now watching this saying, no, we don't want that bullseye on our back. You guys are still the favorites, okay? You can take it.
And I know teams are still going to want to beat us because obviously, like you said, going undefeated the last 2 years in the Patroon Conference means, we beat up on some teams over the last couple of years.
Sure.
And any coach, any player, wants to be able to exact that revenge at some point. We've been talking to the guys and they understand that, there's some responsibility too for them to put in the work that the last couple of classes have to continue the success.
Of course.
And not just allow it to be their success, but to continue growing the success of our program. And they understand that, they have some ownership and responsibility that, there are teams that are going to want to come after us and beat us. But, okay, what are you going to do about that? How are you going to, respond during practice time and respond during the game when, we're going to get every team's best.
Yeah.
Every team's going to give us their best. So like you said, are we the favorite to win the conference? I would say right now, no. But that doesn't mean that can't change.
Absolutely.
But right now, I wouldn't say we have the biggest target on our back.
People have talked about the Patroon Conference the past few years as kind of being a weaker league, kind of top-heavy. Some real good talent up top, and not so much for some of the teams down towards the bottom or in the middle of the pack. With that in mind, I know you've taken on a very challenging schedule this year for non-league games. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, those are things that you have to do.
Right.
And we started that a couple years ago. Going to the Final Four really helped us be able to go out and play other teams. Teams want to play us now. They know that we have talented players that we can compete with some of the schools that are a little bit bigger than us.
Sure.
And it goes a long way to being prepared for the teams you're going to see come sectional time, because we're going to see some really good teams once we get there. There are no slouches once you get to sectional. So the last couple of years we've implemented a lot of bigger schools scrimmage time. So we have a scrimmage tonight actually against Averill Park. We're scrimmaging Green Tech, Saugerties, and South Colony. So 2 A schools and 2 double A's. And then once the season rolls around, we're actually going to McKeel Christian, who's going to be one of the top 2 teams in Section 2.
Maybe the favorite.
To win Class B. We're going to their Christmas tournament. Cohoes and Broad Alban are actually in that as well. So we're playing Broad Alban.
Very tough schools.
We're playing Broad Alban. We drew Broad Alban first.
Lucky you.
Which is, they always have some really talented guards and usually some size.
Some size too.
So obviously, we have those 2 games over Christmas vacation, which are going to be tough. Then we're playing Albany High, which always has really quick guards.
Very athletic team. Always.
Super athletic. They play some big schools. And then we're actually playing Waterville Elite at Glens Falls Civic Center this year in an event that McKeel Christian hosts.
Okay.
So Waterville Elite, I saw them play last year. They were really young. They were still pretty good. I expect that they're going to be even better this year. But all of that goes into, like you said, we play some smaller schools in our league. Our league is predominantly going to Class C now.
Smaller schools.
So, we kind of need to try to bulk our resume up too for seeding purposes come sectional time, and just to get that experience against some better teams. It's not necessarily, always a bad thing, if you schedule a big school, you take a loss, but it's preparing our guys for the bigger picture of competing for a sectional championship.
Now, looking at your crystal ball, what do you foresee for this year? I mean, I know it's tough. You don't want to go 20-0 and then go into the sectionals with a unblemished record. But what do you think this team can accomplish? Should it play as well as it can? From what you've seen so far.
From what I've seen so far, in the first week and a half, we got a team that's very gritty and likes to grind. They love to play basketball, but they also play in a fashion that will allow us to be able to beat teams that maybe we're not necessarily more talented than. And it's just the way that they play. They don't like to lose.
Right.
And that was kind of what helped us the last couple of years, too, is having guys that didn't want to lose. They had a will to win. And that's what a lot of our guys have still with this new group that we have. So if we play to our potential, there's no reason that come February we're not competing for a Patroon Conference championship. I definitely think that we have the capability of winning another one. Whether it be 16-0 or not, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
That would be great if it was.
Nice.
I don't know, but I do know that we're gonna be right there in the thick of things. Come February, and I think our guys will be ready once sectionals come around. I can definitely see us making it back to Glens Falls if the cards fall properly. We talked to the guys a lot about that. It's not necessarily that when we went to the Final Four we were necessarily always the better team, but things also fall. The chips fell the way they needed to for us to win that year. It wasn't easy. It wasn't something that it wasn't even something that probably in the beginning of the year, if you had asked me if I was going to win sectional championship, I would have said, yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know if we're ready to compete at that level yet, but we were. So right now, definitely Patroon Conference championship I think is something we can compete for. I think we're looking basically at Catskill right now as, like I said, as a team to beat for me. from the outside looking in.
Discount Greenville. They got
Right. And Greenville had us on the ropes last year, and they still have some good players back. So I do think there's going to be some teams at the top of the Patroon that are going to be tough to beat. But like I said, our guys have a will to win, and I think, come February, I think we'll be right there.
Well, regardless of who's the favorite on paper, at least at this point, to win the Patroon, championship's got to go through Hudson as always. Got to go through Hudson.
We hope so.
Let's just bounce around the Patroon quick. Talk a bit about Catskill, a bit about Greenville. Who else are we looking at to kind of have a better year, I'd say, than last year? I think the Connell's new coach, one of your buddies, Tom Super, taking over.
Yes.
And they have a decent team. I think they could definitely improve from what they've had the last couple of years.
Right. I do think that they will. They'll be a tougher team than they were last year.
Beck.
They have one of the better players in the Patroon Conference in Russ Beck. He's definitely a top tier Patroon player. He's got really good size to him. I think possibly new coach. Fresh ideas, all those things may spark some things for those guys. They got some good players back, so I could see them competing this year.
And again, on the upper half of the Patroon, we also have Maple Hill is always a solid team every year.
Well coached.
Class C, a little bit below you guys, but still always in the running for top 3-4 teams in Patroon.
Always. And Nate Mannion, their 6'6" kid, very versatile kid. I think he's another kid that you got to watch out for, a Player of the Year type of candidate. He's very, very skilled, and I think Maple Hill will be right in the thick of things as well. They always are.
Yeah, they always are, and they have a great home court advantage. I'll tell you, that place is tough. It's tough to play up there. I never like taking the trip up there. I never like having to go play there for whatever reason. We always seem to not always play at our best. And a lot of that is attributed to well coached team. They're up for the challenge usually when we go up there, but they'll definitely every year they always seem to be in the thick of things and give teams tough games. So I could definitely see them being up there again.
Now, speaking of home courts, you guys redid yours a bit, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's really nice. Some fresh new bleachers. The floor is actually a little bit lighter color now, which I enjoy. It seems it's a little brighter in there now, maybe a little easier to see. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully filling it up this year again, as we have been the last couple of years. We have a great community support.
Sure.
So hopefully that'll continue, and we'd like to think we have a little bit of a home court advantage too in the amount of fans that we can bring out to the games.
I'm mistaken. I think it's 24 in a row that you've won at home as well. I'm into these winning streaks.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for putting the pressure on us. We open up with our first two games at home. So we open up with our first two games at home against Chatham and Carroll. So hopefully we can extend that.
Extend that a little bit. Okay, we'll see.
All right, now I know you have to get going, get back to work, Coach, but appreciate you coming in. Tim, you have anything else?
I just want to say thanks so much for coming in, spending some time with us, and good luck this season.
I
know you don't
appreciate
need luck. You guys have won 2 straight here, but
right. I appreciate you guys having me on. We love talking about basketball. And it's great to see promoting the sport, promoting our league, because like you said, I think we sometimes get a bad rap for not being a very strong, dominant league, but the last few years we've proven that.
Absolutely.
We have some teams that can compete and make some runs in the sectional. So I appreciate you guys having me on, and get started here in a couple weeks.
That's what we do.
Perfect. All right, again, thanks for joining the Press Box, presented by Columbia Green Federal Credit Union.